Okay, good morning, everybody. This session is following on from what we did present at the customer conference. So some of you will have been there, some of you may not have been. So this is another opportunity to hear the updates on cloud audit. So we've got Nick Brown here, who's going to be taking you through those steps. And I think without further ado, I'll pass over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Steph. Good morning, everyone. Good morning on this stormy day. My name is Nicholas Brown. I'm part of the pre-sales team, so I assist all your account managers to deliver demonstrations to customers, to prospects across the whole suite. And last year I got involved with audit and understanding audit automation, the on-premise audit software, and now I'm getting involved with the new cloud product. So we're here today to take you through what's happening in cloud audit and give you a good update of where we are, show you the product that exists today, and talk about next steps. You probably use CCH Audit Automation already, which is our current audit solution. And for a number of years now, we've been developing our new cloud audit software. What we've done historically in Wolters Kluwer, we've had various solutions around the world, and we offer audit solutions today in North America, Canada, Asia Pacific, and also Europe. And they've all been different solutions. We've changed our strategy a number of years ago to actually deliver a single cloud audit suite to cover all regions around the world. And that's what we're going to show you today. It will start to become available from next year in the UK, but we want to tell you about it as early as we can and show it to you and get you engaged in it as early as we can. Over time, it will replace audit automation, but this isn't a big bang. This is to really get you as close as possible to this product as early as possible so that you can decide when you want to start using it. So where we stand today, and the product I will be showing you is actually live and launched in North America. It has been with our US customers for quite some time now, and that's what we've been effectively preparing it ready to release in Canada. And as of November this year, it's being launched in Canada to our Canadian customers. And then guess what the next step is? It's coming over to Europe, and we are preparing it right now. And that's what our developers are working on to ensure that it can meet the UK market needs, your needs. So it will contain all the right content, the methodology, processes, features, all of those things in it that you can use. It's going to be launched in the UK next year, and then it will follow on into Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and then finally into our Asia Pacific countries in 2025. The suite itself is, I would say, it's much bigger than what we have today in audit automation, because we're actually creating a number of elements to the suite. And in this slide, the green parts, here are the current components that we are preparing for the UK. The first one being bank confirmations. The tool will enable you to perform a digital bank confirmation process, getting consent from your client and actually requesting bank details from the client's banks and bringing them back into the audit itself. The two elements shown here, working papers and audit content, these are effectively the two elements today that are the equivalent of CCH audit automation. The magic for me is that we're actually going to be breaking these up, so it means that you can take working papers on its own, and that will be integrated within the new cloud accounts product. And obviously, we will deliver all with the localized master packs as well. Supporting all of that will be documents and collaboration, the processes that you need to perform an audit and come in later in our roadmap. And also, there will be a full set of data analytics tools as well, and those are the future components are in blue. And the key thing to understand as well, all of these components will be delivered through CCH iFirm, which is the new cloud portal that we are delivering for all our cloud products in the UK. So the interesting bit with some dates, timeline. The plan right now is that we expect that by May 24, so next May, we will be able to release to you what I'm positioning as an early adopter release. And what we mean by that, early adopter means whatever data you put in will stay. It is not a beta system. It's a proper working system with data hosted in Europe effectively, but it would be focused on the working paper element for non-audits. And it will be available in our cloud suite. I would say firms will probably need to sign up for that. So that's something that you may want to do if you're interested in. So that's May 24, the working papers early adopter. That will then progress And by September next year, we are looking to release an early adopter of the audit solution. So the main difference between May and September will mainly be the risk assessment part, which I'll show you today. But it will have all the working paper element from May, but it will have more content. The methodology, risk assessment in it, and it will be fully integrated with the cloud accounts production solution. That solution in September will enable you to perform a full audit. However, there could be, and there will be maybe certain features that you have in audit automation today that will not be there. As you know, audit automation has been around for a long time. It's very rich in functionality, but that's why we positioned it again as an early adopter, because we want to get our customers engaged in it. We want feedback, and it may be there are some things in it that you can do without. There could be other things that you really need before you start properly implementing it into your firms. And again, the magic here is that you'll be able to use that in parallel with your current CCH audit automation product today. So that means you could use this product for certain audits and then continue to use your current solution today for other audits. And then looking into the future, May 2025, that's when we're really looking where we'll have a full solution for audit, picking up on any other sort of features feedback from yourselves. And that's where we believe most firms will start to plan the migration to audit automation in the cloud. But we're telling you early because I think it is the sooner that you can get to see the product, get involved in it, get your hands on it, certainly your audit departments, it will really help. In terms of migration, you'll be able to migrate whenever you're ready to. And we want to start talking about it now, organizing regular demonstrations, webinars, providing materials, your account managers to get to meet with you and talk about this. So let's go and have a look at the solution. This is the software that exists today in the United States. We've got lots of firms using this today for their audits. The real thing that will change by May next year, it will be hosted in Europe. You don't want to be sending your data over to the US. GDPR requirements have been considered, of course. But the solution you see here is the backbone of the solution that we'll see in May. The other main difference will be the content. So the content we see here today is our in-house CCH methodology authored in-house, and that's the US methodology. You'll notice as well that the currency is in dollars. We will be putting into the tool all the same features and functionality that we'll see today, but with the same methodology you use today, be it Mercia, PCAS or CCH methodology. We are planning to put that methodology into the tool so that you're not changing methodology. As you know, changing methodology is often the hardest thing in the way you perform an audit. So we want to give you that familiar methodology that you're used to using. So where am I at the moment? This is the engagement view. There are three main components to this solution. We have the work papers management element, we have the trial balance management element, and then we have the content element or the master pack equivalent. In the US, we call them titles, and we can see them in what we call the knowledge coach module. So I'm starting here in the engagement view. This is your central point of the audit. It's like your audit binder, and we can see here on the left various folders, areas, and I can click on add folder, change folders, drag things, create things, etc. And on the right here, I've got various options as well, and I'll mention some of these as I go through. Also along the top, I've got various documents already. I can see prepare a reviewer. Typically, when you create a new engagement, you'll do that using a template. So you're straight into a binder, which is set up with all your work papers you need, the folder structure you need. It might even have journal entries in there without values ready for you to use. That template will basically get you up and ready to run an audit. As a firm, you can create your own templates. You're not restricted to the templates that we provide, and those created templates will be available for all the members of your firm. So that's similar to what you do in audit automation now. At that point, you create the engagement. You can choose which master pack you want to select. In the US, we have a number of different industry titles. So we have a base audit title, which can be used for almost any audit. And then we have specific industry content for construction, real estate, various different industries. And the biggest change there is the procedures in there. So we're looking where we can also leverage that industry specific content alongside the methodologies that you guys are more familiar with. So I've set up a folder structure to be similar to what you get out of the box today in automation with the Mercia pack and the same referencing. As I said, you can change the folder structure. You can put the work papers wherever you want to within that folder structure and customize that as a firm. So the beginning of an audit process is is let's really get the trial balance in. So I'm just going to start off with my trial balance. Obviously, at the start of the audit, trial balance is one of those starting points. We'll import the trial balance through our ingestion tool. At the moment in the US, they will do the mapping within the engagement tool. We're going to be integrated with the cloud accounts production tool as well. So if you've already done your mapping in cloud accounts production, that will automatically feed into here, so you won't need to map it twice. If you're using the desktop accounts production solution, then we'll have the import wizard that will allow you to pull that data in very easily without having to reformat and go through all the stuff in the middle. So that will be a step skip to the audit solution. This trial balance view, we have in the US, we have two separate views, a financial view and also a tax view. It's the same trial balance, it's just a different set of groupings, one for your financial statements and one for your tax return. So you can use that tax return functionality if you want to. We can customize this view, show and hide columns, add filters and save those as different views to recall. So you can view for one purpose, view for another purpose and switch quickly between those. Within this view, we can also manage the groupings, the mappings that we have within the tool. We can add journal entries, the purpose of the audit. So I can see all the journal entries that I've already posted. I can post new journal entries in here. We've got a number of different types of journals and we're expanding on these as well to give us alignment with what's in accounts production audit automation currently. Adjusting journals, reversing journals, journals for prior year and things like that. They'll all show on the face of the TB. So we've got an unadjusted balance flowing through to our final balance. All the things you kind of expect from a trial balance management tool. From the TB, that will automatically generate the lead sheets. And if I'm going to go into receivables, lead sheet, for example, it's all based on the mappings and groupings that you've assigned. So that will automatically generate those from here. Obviously, you can reference back to your work papers, put tick marks. I've added in comments. We'll see financial statements on here. So I've got a balance sheet, income statement. This is not intended to be a replacement for accounts production. This is your primary balance sheet and income statement for the purposes of doing an audit. So you can take a look from the financial statements perspective at the TB. It's really just another view of the TB. And then we've got various reports from the TB. And so we have this out of the box financial summary report, which basically breaks down the TB by grouping. So if I click on asset, current assets, dive down into the various sections. You can create your own trial balance reports as well. Choose which columns are in there, choose what groups and subgroups are included in there. And those reports become work papers. So as an example, say I want to do a custom flux analysis. I can put my trial balance with the variance columns in there. Then I can go to town adding annotations and so on to that report. And that report is a static work paper within the audit. So next, I'm going to go into the methodology piece. So I'm going to go back to the engagement view. Go into planning. I'm going to go into engagement level tailoring questions. So we call these forms, but they're effectively the various different work papers that you complete as part of doing an audit. At first, we would start with typically is the planning section, my engagement tailoring questions. So in audit automation right now, you're used to doing tailoring at the beginning of the audit, and we have the same thing here. At the top, we'll see guidance, instructions, next steps. And then all the questions on here will tailor which work papers you need as part of the audit. We'll tailor different elements within those work papers. It will show and hide various different pieces of content from here. If I answer some various questions, we've got tips. So this shows us how answering that question will affect my audit so I can understand the flow. That's the answer effect. And then we've got practice points as well with guidance and the standards and so on that apply to that particular question. So we answer all these questions as you go through, it will reference to the knowledge coach. And we've got diagnostics in red. And what these diagnostics are trying to do, we're looking for questions that we haven't been answered, questions that maybe have been answered inappropriately, maybe you've chosen the wrong risk level based on your earlier answers. The purpose really is as much as we can to prevent an auditor from performing a non-compliant audit. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be able to get to the end and produce a non-compliant audit if you followed all of the instructions and diagnostics. And then we scope all the various different areas of the audit there. We've got a diagnostics pane on the right. So you can view all those diagnostics together, clear them off and work through them individually. The next stage, after we've tailored the audit, I mean, obviously there's many steps in the audit that you're familiar with. I go back to, I'm going to open up this overall audit program. This is a nice summary of the audit as a whole. At the beginning, we can see this is the other side of the tailoring. It's saying this is the question you answered, and this is what's happening, and this form is being created as a result. So you've got the trail up and down the audit process. So this is your audit program. If I scroll down, you've got references here to other forms. Other content is knowledge coach, where you can open from here, sign off, reference to work papers. This is a good overview of the audit, and the diagnostics will make sure you completed all of those effectively. Next up, working through the audit, let's look at the risk assessment. So I'm just going to go back to planning, B600, assessing the risks of material misstatement. Summary of risks assessments. So I will work through all these activities proceeding that will be able to identify the level of risk in the firm. This will reflect the same methodologies you're used to today. Scrolling down. We'll get to tailoring questions again, and then we get to start the risk assessment. All the diagnostics will be here. It'll be using the same Murthy methodology. The risk assessment will determine what inherent control risk material statement is. We've got references here to our individual program steps. So on the right, so this summary risk assessment is just a whole risk assessment on a page effectively. So I'm going to go move forward in the audit. I'm going to go and look at the cash audit program. So lower down on my tree, I've got bank and cash, and this audit program cash. So again, as you would expect in an audit program, we've got summaries at the top, materiality, risk assessment output specific to cash, some of the assertions, and then we've got more tailoring questions. These are obviously specific to cash. We would answer questions about cash, and this will tailor which procedures are relevant to the audit, which procedures are not relevant. And then over on the right, I've got something called Program Steps Library. And the Program Steps Library, here is where we have all the tests. In here, you can see the ones that are checked, the ones that we're using. And I can show just the ones which are applicable based on the tailoring questions answers. I've got a tick box. So I can very clearly see which tests I've scoped in, which tests I've scoped out. If there are any tests that I've modified the wording on, that's highlighted in here. Not every test I will use straight out of the box. I will modify to fit the client's audit. So hopefully you can kind of see the equivalence from audit automation and, the same sort of approach in a cloud environment and with new sort of smarter ways of helping the preparer work through the audit. So all of these audit programs will roll forward to next year. All procedures, everything will roll forward. And you can choose with all the knowledge coach work papers whether you want to roll forward with this year's content or next year's content. And as we update the content with the accounting regulation changes, we will automatically update the latest content if you want us to, or we'll leave you to do that. And we'll see on the right-hand side in a bit, there's a flag that says you're not using the latest content. Also, with the answers, you can choose form by form whether you want to retain last year's answers or reset them. And it will depend entirely on the work paper, because some work papers you do want last year as a reference to change from. Others you want to reset it because you want to make sure you've got a fresh view for the new year. Okay, let me show you another area. This is just a high-level overview, really, but I want to tick off a few important areas. So we also have a host of other different forms. And if I go onto my tree, I'm going to go into unfiled work papers and then click on add a knowledge base form. So we've got a host of different forms that won't get added as part of the tailoring, but there are supporting documents, kind of templates ready for you, ready for all procedures that you might perform. So examples, sampling worksheets, bank reconciliations, AR confirmations, examples of letters, engagement letters, etc. All of that content is in here there as well. So you can just pull from the library to give you a starting point for all your procedures. And lastly, just going back to my work papers piece, you would expect, obviously, all the supporting work papers and in our binder. And in here, I can see various Word documents, PDF documents, Excel documents, all the typical file extensions that you can think of. The only one we don't have in here is exe files, exe files. We don't want these. These cause problems in the cloud. But I can very easily upload work papers into my audit solution very easily. And lastly, we also have deep integration with Excel and Word. So when you open Excel Word files, we have an add-in with Excel and Word, which allows you to reference back to the trial balance. So I can insert, for example, I can insert a value from the trial balance or give me the total amount of cash for the prior year, and that inserts into Excel. That's a dynamic link, so every time the TB updates, that will update as well if you want it to. Same with Word. And I understand in the US, they use this a lot to create totally custom financial statements. And in the US, they don't actually have an accounts production tool. But a lot of the time, using this add-in, that gives them the control and the ability to create fully customized financial statements, because the level of the depth, the TB linking, allows you to create those types of documents. So that sort of feature is, is certainly a step on from the on-premise audit automation. I also want to touch on document properties. If I just look at my income statement as an example, I've mentioned that we can roll forward. You can also choose whether you want each document to roll forward each year, and you can also modify that at the point you do the roll forward. So when you close out this year, you roll it forward, you can choose document by document, whether you want to retain them. You can also preset those at engagement. We can add notes very easily. I've got a couple of notes there. You can have conversations with each other, the reviewer, the preparer, raise coaching notes, etc., review notes, audit notes. Let me just go into the balance sheet. Actually, the very last thing is that we have a disclosure checklist tool. So up on my top in section A, accounts disclosure checklists. In cloud, obviously I'm relying on my internet connection. Don't normally get this option to put in a date. There we go. Patience. And let's go and just choose balance sheet here. Okay, and again, that might just take a few moments. So this disclosure checklist tool is part of the Knowledge Coach. It's branded Auto Check, and it's a full disclosure checklist tool integrated with the rest of the audit suite. As you expect, it has tailoring questions. Tailoring questions will filter down all the answers. You're not answering quite so many questions you would otherwise. And the content is updated from year to year. We show you what's changed from year to year as well. That's all stored as part of the audit. It's a dynamic work paper stored as part of my engagement. Just back to the engagement view planning. The last thing I want to show you is sign-offs. Within the work papers, we have individual procedure sign-offs, and on the top, we've got preparer, reviewer, second reviewer, and this can all be tailored appropriately. We've got multi-level sign-off here and different levels. So, as I said, this is a high-level introduction to what the solution looks like today. To conclude, I believe the solution is thorough, and it is in a great position. The key is ensuring that we can bring it to the UK with all the right content, with all the right master packs, with everything that you need to perform an audit. We've been quite conservative in terms of working papers first and then bringing in through full audit. You can use it straight away in May, next May 24, you can use it straight away, but of course, it can only be for non-audit jobs. So it will have the PCAS or Mercia methodology for non-audit jobs. It won't have the risk assessment. But what I hope to achieve today is to get our customers to see this as soon as possible and to start thinking about how you can take this solution on. The gap between now and May, up to Christmas and the new year, that's all the master pack work going into it. EU hosting, of course, and to ensure that it's working in our UK cloud environment, CCHI firm, which, as you know, is arriving. So that's what we're working on at the moment. What we want to do with the account managers and these webinars, and thank you for your time today, we want to engage you as early as possible. And this will help the developers making sure that we've got all the right pieces in place for next year. Okay, but yes, thank you for all these questions. We will get the experts to consider them and get good answers and share all that out. So hopefully, thank you for your attention. I hope that you've got something from it. And, the whole idea is to get talking to your account manager and giving you, the audit team information to help you make decisions going forward.
Yeah, Nick and I were discussing this morning. We will try and get a follow-up webinar to this one with the software development to explain some more of the technical stuff. So if we can get that booked in before the end of the year, we will let you guys know. So I think if we close it off there with the promise of coming back to you with more information. So Nick, thank you for your time today. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.